Hi, welcome to Osmosis. Osmosis is an integrated video library. We cover 1,800 canonical topics across medicine and allied health professions education. Osmosis also includes 2,200 practice questions and flashcards to improve recall and retention for those complex topics. To give you a sense of the value that Osmosis provides for both students and faculty, let's look at some of the challenges that they have by looking at a couple of the videos from our Learning Science library. I'm going to get there using our index. Here's our video about multimedia learning. I'm going to play it with the sound off, but with captions on, so you can get a sense for what our videos look like. The fundamental challenge that students have in medicine and across allied health professions education is that there's simply too much information to process and too little time to process it. And we've all had some version of this experience. We've been in a boring but really difficult class, or we've tried to read a really complex section of a textbook. Fundamentally, as human beings, we can only process a certain amount of information at any given point in time. And this is what this video gets into, how complex material is designed to move from your sensory memory all the way into your long-term memory. The basic challenge is that most traditional educational programs overwhelm students with too much dense material. What Osmosis tries to do is chunk information into manageable pieces of information that can be more readily absorbed into their long-term memory. Right now, you can see that we're just trying to revamp a really dense PowerPoint image into something that's going to be more digestible. But you can imagine the same process applying to any dense, complex medical content, be it a textbook chapter or a lecture given by a research scientist. The fundamental problem is the same. Too much content, too little time, poorly constructed and delivered. Because Osmosis chunks content into audio-visual nuggets of information, it's just easier for students to comprehend and to absorb. In addition to chunking content for this easier absorption, Osmosis also makes it easy for any given student to adopt a habit of continuous formative self-assessment. So just how we had this challenge before of the fire hose, of there being too much content, we have a second challenge that students face, which is they start forgetting complex content almost the day after they've learned it. And this leads to a bunch of different challenges. One of which is that students get into a cycle of cramming for big summative exams and then forgetting everything right after they've studied. And typically what happens to students over the lifespan of their educational and sort of clinical practice is that they have to relearn information again and again, and they're always forgetting something. However, if students can make a habit of continuous formative self-assessment using flashcards or questions, they will flatten out this forgetting curve, which you see in front of you. And the idea is that if a student can make a habit of continuous formative self-assessment across all the topics they encounter in their educational journey, they're going to have improved outcomes both on high stakes exams and summative exams, but most importantly, they're going to remember this information more concretely for their clinical practice. So to recap, Osmosis makes complex content stickier by dividing content into digestible chunks. We also make that content audio-visual to make way for more sort of neuro pathways to sort of grapple with that information. In addition to the video content itself, we make it really easy for students to do associated practice quizzing to get into a habit of continuous formative self-assessment. Let's go back to the home screen and dive into the anatomy of Osmosis and all the different interfaces that students can use. So the first interface they can use is the search bar, and this is going to be familiar to anybody who uses the internet. I'm just searching for heart here, and you can see all the results that I have on offer. I'll click into heart failure to give you a sense of what our fundamental unit looks like. You can see here that this is a page devoted to heart failure. We call these Learn pages because Learn is in the URL up top. All of these URLs are discrete and can be shared by students and faculty alike. Video player for this topic is really straightforward, and again, is going to be familiar to any student who uses the internet. especially students who use YouTube and other video platforms, which is essentially all young people around the world. The video player has some basic controls. They'll be familiar to anybody. You can go backwards, forwards. You can turn on captions. You can pause audio. To the right of the video are related videos. Again, this is going to be a similar UI to YouTube, which is something that a lot of students around the world use. In addition to the suggested videos, students can also take their own notes right here alongside the video. We'll timestamp them so that they can always go back to that exact portion of the video where they made a note for themselves. This last tab to the right of the video is the transcript. This is a really useful way to students, but also faculty, to get a quick sense of what's being covered in a given video. All of the hyperlinked terms go back to pages about that content for quick review. You can see here too that we've linked out to the subject matter experts and to the contributors for this video. This is a really important topic for faculty because they often want to know who created all these videos. Well, Rishi Desai is our Chief Medical Officer, and he's an infectious disease pediatrician at Stanford. He worked at the Khan Academy for many years, building out their medical practice, and he leads a team of subject matter experts and video creators to build the library that you see in front of you. In addition to the videos, notes, and the transcripts, below every video are high-yield notes. These are essentially digital textbook chapters, which helps to consolidate and highlight the most important information for any given medical topic. Again, the challenge for students is that during their schooling, they are often asked to learn stuff that isn't going to be relevant for clinical practice and in many summative exams. This is because professors differ widely in their backgrounds and their interests as teachers and researchers. What our high-yield notes attempt to do is to highlight just the key content that's going to be invaluable to them as practicing clinicians. Getting back to that Learn page, we can see also the integrated practice questions and flashcards. Flashcards are short and discrete and are designed to help students learn the vocabulary of medicine. Every flashcard asks for the confidence and the accuracy from the student. These two variables are used to filter these questions for future review. In addition to the flashcards, we also have board style or vignette style questions. These are designed to mimic a clinical experience so that students can synthesize all of the complex content that they've learned in the past to make a differential diagnosis. Every question has explanations for the incorrect and correct answers so that they can learn from their mistakes. Again, we're trying to make it as simple and as valuable for students to adopt a habit of continuous formative self-assessment through practice questions. All of the hyperlinked terms go back to another topic in our library so that as students take practice questions, they can always dig back into the basic science videos in our library. Let's go back to the home screen of Osmosis. In addition to the search bar, students can also browse all the topics in our library according to this simple index. Basically, foundational and essential sciences are on the left, and as the student progresses further into clinical practice, they move from left to right in this index. You'll also see that we have supplemental videos about clinical skills, COVID-19, interpersonal communication skills, and that learning science library, among others. All of these videos are designed to help the student holistically become a better future clinician. On this home screen, we also have a daily practice quiz and a weekly leaderboard. Again, this platform is trying to nudge students into a habit of repeated self-quizzing. And these quizzes and this leaderboard are an attempt to build that habit for students. In addition to videos and questions, any student and any faculty member and any user on the platform can build their own playlist of videos. And again, this is going to be familiar to anybody who uses YouTube or any number of applications on the internet. The basic idea here is that you can create your own curated list of topics to return to later. And you can play the videos there. You can also take a practice quiz from all the associated flashcards and questions for all the videos in that list. This playlist will be something that we're going to revisit in the analytics screen next. All the tools and resources I've shown you are available to all users on Osmosis who have an active membership to Osmosis Prime, which is our paid subscription service. Faculty and administrators who are designated by partnering institutions have an additional tool available to them alone, and that's called our analytics dashboard. This is a place where faculty can see usage and performance data for all of the students in a given cohort at their school. Let's look at one such student cohort. You'll see this first tab is overview data about weekly or monthly or quarterly active users over any given time span. The student report section, which I've already preloaded here, shows specific usage across a playlist. In this way, a playlist is a way to design a query across a given student cohort for a given set of content. So right now, we're looking at a group of second-year students and whether or not they've consumed videos in this playlist, but also what their performance is across questions and flashcards in this list. By using playlists along with the analytics dashboard, Osmosis provides partner faculty and administrators a way to see how students are studying outside of class. And again, this is incredibly valuable. Most faculty don't really know how their students study. They don't really know what they're trying and how they're performing. Students can use this dashboard to both see whether or not a student is reading all the required texts or engaging with the material, but also how they're performing for practice questions and flashcards. To be clear, all of this content is available to all the users on this platform for continuous summative self-assessment and for supplemental review. Faculty can share these resources in their classes however they choose to do so. They can share videos before class to help prime students. They can share videos during class to help articulate a really difficult concept like the Krebs cycle. They can also share these videos after class as supplemental for supplemental practice and review. The point being that faculty can lean on these resources to move didactic learning and instruction outside of the classroom so that they can use their in-person class time, be it online via Zoom or in the physical classroom, to have more interactive and more valuable learning sessions. There are more tools and resources in this platform, which we'll learn about over time. But hopefully this gives you a jumping off point to start using the videos and learning resources on this platform. Thanks so much.